I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, nice.
Okay, down
We're
the
not
street,
too
down
far
the
away.
road.
Yep,
So, are you ladies ready to get into it?
we ready.
Yeah.
All right. So, I want you to introduce yourselves from left to right.
Oh,
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 I
so,
think
okay.
I'm up and down. I think that'd be me because I'm up and down.
Up and down.
okay.
Oh, okay.
So, I see y'all left from left to right, literally.
Oh,
Oh,
okay. So I think that'd be me, Joe, then Nikki.
Yes.
Okay. Right. My name is Kiki. I am the business director of the Twerk Museum.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joe, aka Firestarter. I am the choreographer for the Twerk Museum.
and my name is Nikki St. John. I am the creative director of the Twerk Museum.
Okay. So, the three beautiful Black Atlanta business women who've all come together to bring you Twerk and Go. So, ladies, first of all, I don't even want to say left to right anymore. How did you form this companionship?
Well, I have known Joe for a while, and then I recently met Kiki. But what had happened was I was writing a TV show, and it was called Twerk LA. We're trying to figure out how to fund the show. Kiki came on our fundraising team, and then she decided, like, why don't we do like an interactive experience? We're like, oh yeah, like and she was like about twerking, and I was like, okay, that's great. And I couldn't get the idea out of my head. So then we came up with the Twerk Museum, and it's all based on what I learned when I did the Twerk certification program with my friend Joe.
Okay, so then basically Nikki's the connective tissue for the project because we already knew each other. The Twerk Technicians was already a program that I created because I wanted to make sure that Black women kept the keys to our dancing because the music entertainment industry has allowed twerk to kind of get to everybody and then everybody think it's theirs now, but it's ours, baby. So we did the twerk technician training to make sure people stayed grounded, they understood where the dance movements came from culturally, and those who are not a part of our culture knew how to culturally appropriate using our dancing, which they are monetizing and creating income off of. So I thought it was a great idea when Trinidad, I call it Trinidad, when Trinidad introduced me to Big Kiki. I love her. I'm a grown woman, so sometimes I'm like, no new friends, okay? But I met her and she and I started spending time together without Trinidad. And I was like, this woman is wonderful. So it's been a partnership ever since. Kiki, what you think? Tell us about you.
Oh, yeah. So like Nikki said, she actually had written a show called Twerk LA, and she asked me to come on to manage her campaign for her. And we were just brainstorming things, ways to make money. And I was like, well, we should open a twerk museum, guys. And they're like, oh my God, it's such a great idea. And it just kind of lost a little momentum. And she called me a few weeks later, like, girl, we need to do it. And I'm like, okay, like, let's do it. And she's like, hey, I know exactly how we can structure this, how we can get it done. And then she, introduced me to what Joe had created, aka the Twerk Technicians. And then she also introduced me to Joe after that. And I thought she was equally as amazing as she thinks that I am. And I was just like, oh, I'm sold. Like I love it. I think it's a great idea. And we just kind of been thick as thieves since.
Yeah. So, like, the Twerk Museum is an immersive, interactive experience that's merging dance, history, and culture. And I got the idea from what I learned in the Twerk Technicians training because what I really loved about it was that Joe dug so much into the history, not just of the history of twerk in America, but she went back and she traced it to Africa and how it originally started in Africa. And when our people were taken as slaves and, throughout colonization, of course, we were stripped of our language, our history, our religion, but we still had those dance movements. So in our museum, like, a traditional selfie museum is not really a museum, but we're actually going to have historical exhibits there from around the African diaspora, which means Africa, the Caribbean, South America, and America. And then we're going to have professional dancers doing the traditional and the modern dances, as well as teaching those dances to the people who come. And then you have dozens of backdrops from around the world where you can choose to create your content. And until the museum opens, like, we're like, we don't want to just wait and keep people waiting. Like, we want to, get started now. And Joe already had the Twerkingo game that she had been running for years. So back to you, Joe. Let's talk about
You know, I have been running the Twerkingo game because studying twerk was hard work because we have over 99 ways to twerk, Tawanda. I don't know if you know that, but we got over 99 ways to twerk. And things started to get difficult. Like I can throw it in a circle, but I can't throw it up and down. Or I can make it clap, but I can't, my knees ain't stable when I drop it down. So I made these Twerkingo cards where people could basically play the game and learn the moves. So once I talked to Trinidad about this project, we knew that this was something different and something very special. So we designed the Twerk Museum edition of Twerkingo to surround the movement in the museum so that people receive an experience, not just going through the museum, but when they're playing the game, they're also taken on a journey in which they explore different cultures. So I'm gonna pass that back to you, Trinidad, okay?
Okay, so yeah, so in the museum, we do have the history of each region. We also have the history of the dances. And then we also have an ebook. It's 10 Things You Should Know About the History of Twerk, which anyone can get for free if you just go to our website, thetwerkmuseum.com. But also when you play the game, like when you come to our game nights, we give you like a little bit of history. We're still gonna keep it fun because it's a game night. We're gonna give you a little bit of history as we go along. And then also when you get the hard copy of our board game or the digital version, you have access to that ebook and then additional videos that like go deeper into the history of each region.
Now, do you think this is a way for women to bond, or is it for everybody? I don't know how to twerk. My back don't be popping, okay? So,
It's for everybody. This is for everybody. Well, I don't want you to shy away from, the idea of what twerking is. It is for everyone. We start with the basics. We want everybody to feel comfortable because guess what? Joe hit her with it. What's the slogan?
If you got a crack, we can make it clap, baby. Woo!
okay, I'm coming.
Yeah. And it's like the way that we explain the moves and break it down, anybody can do it. Like I am not the best dancer at all. At least like I started out not being the best dancer. So like I'm very confident in my twerk skills now, but I figured out like ways to break it down for people, especially people who are non-dancers who just feel like they're kind of stiff or can't really move. So that it makes sense for everybody. And then it's not just about the movement. Like twerk is a great way to connect to your feminine energy. Like our ancestors used it, they believed it, got you close to God. It was used as a celebratory dance. It was even used to choose pairings between partners. There's so much history behind this, and there's so many reasons why you should twerk.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like a lot of people don't know that women store a lot of trauma in their hips. So that's one of the reasons why this style of dance, twerk, is something that everyone deserves to experience, especially women. So we can gatekeep that to the Black community. You know what I mean? We want that to be everywhere because everyone deserves freedom. And I feel like being able to dance and express yourself and finding your twerk and finding your tribe and finding what cultural alignment you bond with really is a movement. So it's bigger than the booty, Tawanda. You understand what I'm saying?
I do understand. And is this the way that you plan to take the negative connotation associated with twerking away?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yep.
There should have never
Absolutely.
been a negative connotation to begin with. It's just like how we've had to fight in the workplace to wear our natural hair. It's the hair that grows out of our heads naturally. Like these are dances that are kind of like stamped in our DNA, even though other things were stripped from us. It's miraculous that the dances still remain, even though the connection to them and what they mean has been lost. It's just a part of us. It's a part of our culture, and there's nothing wrong with it. And we just want to let people know there's nothing wrong with being who you are naturally and doing what you naturally do.
Now, do you already have a brick and mortar for the museum?
At the moment, we are
Nikki?
trying to solidify our brick and mortar. So as soon as our brick and mortar is solidified, then that is when our tickets will go on sale for the Twerk Museum. So in order to keep up with that, you need to follow and subscribe with us at thetwerkmuseum.com so that you have the first drop on when tickets go on sale. But we are slated to open this summer. So
I'm coming. Listen, I can't even line
we
dance.
know.
Listen,
Oh, that's so
used
awkward.
to be me. I'm trying to tell you, like, I was so traumatized by line dancing with my family when I was a kid. And they were like, sit down, you can't dance, you have no rhythm, you're not on beat. I would not dance in front of people for years. But I promise you, this is something that you can do. The way we break it down for everybody, anybody can do it.
I'm there. So, with the people that's going to be tuning in online, like virtually, because you offer the virtual classes as well, how would the cards work with them? How would they be able to get their hands on that? Would that be cheating?
No. So we have a digital version as well as the hard copy version. So for our digital version, we do have a digital board that they can access. We also have like a QR code so they can scan it and share it with the other people that they're playing with. So we made it very accessible for everybody, no matter where you're playing it with us.
Also, I see our mascot has joined us. This is the Twerk Museum mascot, Jack. He's our biggest supporter.
He's the supporter. He probably be twerking too. So,
Yeah.
what is the most important lesson as running the business did you learn about each other?
Oh, that's a good question.
Communication style.
That's
We
exactly
all
what I.
have we all have very different ways that we communicate with one another, and our biggest hurdle was trying to figure out how to communicate effectively between the three of us, because we will all think that we're on the same page and thinking one thing, and then we'll meet again and be like, well, I thought you said, I thought you said, I thought you said. So, the biggest lesson that we have learned in this is just we need to write that down, baby, because we cannot leave to chance what we thought each other said, because somebody forgot, or we misunderstood, or it wasn't written out clearly enough. So that's been our biggest hurdle, but we are just about over the hump, honey, because we had to figure it out. But we there, like, we get it. The chemistry between us three, and as far as like getting along, that's perfectly fine. We just had to figure out how to make sure that we were all communicating what our needs were when it comes to how to make this business successful, because that was just really important for us to get over. Otherwise, we wouldn't have made it this far. We did it.
With that, you had a campaign a couple of years ago or a few years ago. Did you take something from that to create the museum, or like how did you all come together to say, okay, from the front door to this portion of it, this is what we're going to do?
Um, so what do you mean about which campaign were you
She
referring to?
Twerk Works
Twerk too.
LA.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So, no, because that's completely different because it was actually a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that medium is really different from doing like an experience.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of, when I conceptualized the museum and I like drew out the floor plan, I really thought about the experience itself and like how our people were taken from Africa and then dropped off at all these different places. So like in the experience, when you go to the Twerk Museum, you have to go through the Middle Passage first
Mm-hmm.
because that's what our people experience. And, I want to simulate that feeling of just like being isolated and cut off from your family, everything that you knew, and being taken to this strange place and just really show, what happened. And then, when those doors open, you're going to come into Africa and you're going to be greeted by our Mapuka dancers doing a celebratory dance from the Ivory Coast, welcoming everybody home. And the Mapuka is the dance that's most similar to the twerk that we do in the US. It's estimated that about 40% of slaves in the US came from the Ivory Coast, but we'll never know because they didn't really keep records on us. But yeah, and then I want everyone to travel around the world where we were dropped off at, which is the Caribbean, South America, America. And I also think, I grew up in an immigrant community. So it was just like all of my friends were like first generation American, spoke different languages. And I realized that since coming to the South, like a lot of my friends didn't have that experience. And I want them to get that when we, go to this museum. There are so many people of African descent that speak Portuguese, so many people of African descent that speak Spanish. And I want to make sure those cultures are also represented, because just as hard as we fight here in America to be seen in the media, like imagine how much harder their fight has to be. Like, I don't know if you ever watched, like Univision, but it's like there's hardly ever any Afro Latinx shown, you know, so we want to represent those people because we are all came from the same place. Even though we're disconnected or don't have anything in common, we really do.
Yeah. Can I add on to that real quick? I want to say that Trinidad has always been an actress. She's always been a writer, and she's always made her way. I remember when she was transitioning from dancing, she had a campaign that it was 365 days to hang up my high heels. I feel like she was ahead of her time because when she did that campaign, she literally launched a Instagram page called Pole Dance Nation that was in alignment with her book that she wrote called Pole Dancer. Like, this was before, you know, P Valley, the Naked Hustle, and all these things. So she was very much ahead of her time. So Pole Dance Nation led us into Twerkworks LA, where Trinidad literally had us in the streets of LA shaking booty meat for tips, you know what I'm saying, to grow this web series. But again, ahead of our time, and Twerking for Tips gave a different energy at that time. We would call it a street interview on TikTok now, but then it was like, what you out here doing, you know? So I feel like this is the perfect timing. It's the alignment of all her ideas. And when we roll out the Twerk Museum, it's deeper than all of these new products are popping up because of the Twerk Museum. This is stuff we already had. Okay, let me tell you. Okay, Nikki St. John has been a businesswoman for a while, and it all comes from her original ideas. It's just the perfect platform to reintroduce them to the world.
Oh, thank you, friends.
You're welcome, bud.
Mm-hmm.
Love your again the camaraderie and the sisterhood that you have developed with Twerk and Go, or just working with each other and trusting each other, trusting that you all have each other's best interest at heart. And I know that's very difficult, especially with women unity today.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think it's that difficult, especially with the people that I surround myself with. Like Firestarter Joe, you know, she's always been this person that's like so giving, and always, she never feels threatened by anyone else who does the same thing as she does. She's like quick to put someone on. And like Kiki, it's like she's the same way. So for me to share my ideas and like my thoughts and open up to them, and like I just feel completely supported.
I love that. I can just
I agree. And we got contracts and everything. You know, it's hard for people that are friends to you know, really get down to business. I mean, that took a long time to sign my contract, but I signed it, and it was trust there that we didn't need to have a contract for us to trust each other with this project.
Right. There were still moves being made before contracts are even signed, but because there is a lot of integrity between the three of us, we didn't have to worry about, oh, are you going to make me sign a bad deal? Or, oh, are you doing something underhanded? Or are you hiding something from me? Like, we're all very transparent about what happens in our business because, you know, we understand that once this scales up to something so large, we're only going to have each other, you know,
Right.
that we can depend on and that we can trust. So we have to stick together.
I think it's going to be large because again, twerking is like you said, is universal. It's not just
Yeah.
for the clubs or whatever everybody else made it out to be when rappers or our favorite rappers began doing it. We've been doing it for
Right.
years, like you said. And I like how you took them to the valley inside the museum. That is a different approach. The overall experience. So with that, do you have a favorite? I know the whole project is a favorite because this is huge. But what particular parts is like, okay, I can relate to this. This is my thing right here. What part of the project makes you feel that
For me personally, it's the part of the project that might have to get cut out. That's my favorite. It's the I really want to have like a strip club. Like not like a real strip club, but like, you know, that feeling of what you see when you come to the strip club, because it is part of the culture. But it may get cut out. But since I've been in the club as a dancer for so long, I think that's just my favorite because the sexiness of it, and I like dancing in heels, like that's my thing. But it doesn't mean that I don't enjoy the other ones as well. Like, for instance, our South American and our Caribbean exhibit are definitely going to feature dancers in heels. We definitely want to celebrate carnival culture, the culture that you see in Brazil and in Trinidad. So you're going to get some of those elements, but it's not going to be entirely the same as my favorite part.
We're gonna work it in commercially, friend. Don't you worry. We can get us some silicone poles and some bodysuits and make it look very professional. Your choreographer got you, okay? I I clearly my favorite portion isn't just creating the choreography. It is aligning with the music. Like the best thing about twerk is we move the way that we move based on the music. You hear drums, you naturally, pump your chest, work your shoulders. Even someone who doesn't understand the music, if they have soul, they can feel the rhythm. Dance hall makes you move a certain way. Hip hop makes you move a certain way. So I'm excited to tap into the music. I keep telling them that we are a singing group, but Trinidad don't want to be in the group, like that. But I want to study different rhythms and alignment in the choreography, and I want to work with different artists. Like I really got elevated in my dance career from touring with Lil Wayne. Like I got to perform in Back That Thing Up on tour with him, and that changed my life because everybody loves music and wanted to align with this song and what you do when you hear this song. So I'm excited for the Twerk Museum soundtrack, the artists, okay, and what the dancers do to the music. So that's what I'm excited about.
And my favorite part of this entire project is going to be connecting with people. I am very much a person that likes to connect and watch people learn things, and just I like to touch people. So, I think the appeal of people learning about their culture and reconnecting to something that is part of their roots, just seeing, how people react to it, that's going to be my favorite part. Like just the connection.
I'm gonna bring my daughter to the museum. Okay, I know my back. And I said I be popping like little Patty. It is not cute. But with that, I feel like just the whole. I love what each of you said, and everyone has a part in your story. Um, you all three have a certain part that you love, but you bring the passion to it that makes it more educational too. You want to teach, and everybody don't want to teach, they just want to show up and show people what they can do. So was that important too?
I think it was
Yeah.
definitely important if you're going to create an experience. I love taking pictures, like, I love creating content. And when I go to those experiences, even though I enjoy it, I felt like if we were going to do something like this, we have to do it at an elevated level, because you can go on your phone for free and see people twerking. And
Right.
I just really thought it was important to just reclaim what's ours. And the only way that you can do that is by knowing the origins and how we got to where we are today. So
Yeah.
knowing your origins and figuring out how we arrived at this place, you have to tell the history.
And
Yeah.
then I also want to add on about the teaching piece. It's definitely imperative that you have to be willing to teach. So the twerk technician certification, they had both. Well, obviously Joe created and she'd already taken it. They were like, "Oh, so you have to take it, right?
Ooh,
Like I can't be out here false claiming, saying that we're, I'm part of this, huge project, and I don't know what I'm talking about." So I had to be willing to step outside of my comfort zone and learn all of the styles and be willing to teach it, had the time come, and it did come.
Yeah, it
So
came, it came real quick.
it came
I
real
got one
quick.
thing to say. I got one thing to say about that teaching portion. I feel like we had no choice but to teach because we're holding our culture, and I can't just show you this movement. We don't want to get people into unintentional movement.
okay.
Culture don't work like that. When we move, it's with an intention. We're telling a story. We're becoming free. We're seducing someone. You know what I mean? Like there's something in your mind that's activating those hips.
Right.
And we don't want you just stepping in and you mimicking what I'm doing, but why? You know, what's your intention? So we want to make sure people get in alignment with these movements. So we're going to educate them the whole way through and enjoy while we do it.
I'm gonna try, y'all. I'm gonna try. That's all I can do. I can give you a try.
You're gonna do it. You're gonna do a lot better than you thought you were gonna do. Everybody who comes to our classes who's like, I can't twerk or this is not gonna work, they all
and every
feeling like
twerk doesn't involve throwing your back either. Every twerk doesn't involve throwing your back. You got something to offer. We're gonna work that waist. We can shake them thighs. Okay, we need to sit you down and make you do a little right cheek, left cheek. We're gonna find your superpower. We're gonna find it for you.
Ooh, these little patty cakes gonna be clapping. I believe that. Okay.
Yeah.
They will.
So my next question is, how do when people come, how do they get a chance to win a prize?
Okay,
Ooh.
so at our game nights, well, this is kind of for all of them, but there are different ways you can twerk Kingo. So we have a board, it has 9 moves on it. So if you can get one row going in any direction, you have twerk Kingo, right?
Okay.
That's at the beginner level. If you get 2 rows, that's an intermediate. 3 rows, it's an advanced twerk Kingo. Now, if you come to our game nights, we have secret bonus moves that we only teach at our game nights. So it's like variations of the moves that are on the board, and the variations tend to be a little bit harder. So if you can do all of the moves that we give you at the game night, then you have super twerk Kingo, and you win a prize. So obviously, it's easier to disseminate prizes at the physical game nights, but we have set it up so that if you play with us digitally, or if you play the board game, the hard copy of the board game, you can still go to our prize page, and there are prizes for you to collect.
Okay.
Yeah, and in the Twerk Museum too, there are going to be exhibits. So if you pay attention during your exhibit, later on in the museum, there will be some Q&A, and if you can answer those questions, you can also win a few things that way. As far as the Twerk Museum is concerned, and we have hoodies, we have merch, we have outfits, we got Valentine's cards, we got all kinds of things that you could potentially win.
So I know you don't have a particular date that the Twerk and Go Museum is going to open, but you do plan to launch this summer. What about the growth of it? Where do you go from here?
Oh, so we know where we're gonna go next. We're kind of keeping that under wraps right now. We just want people to stay focused on the Twerk Museum, but no, we do have a plan. I don't want to say
more twerk.
but we definitely have a plan. Yeah.
So for people who the tickets are not on sale yet, but you do have a website because I've seen it. So
Ooh. I've seen it.
So how can they follow you and stay up to the minute with the launch?
They can follow us at the Twerk Museum on all social media. Also on the twerkmuseum.com, or if you go to social media, you can click on the link. There's a way to get on the wait list. So as soon as the tickets drop, you will know. But yeah, we're going to keep everybody informed every step of the way. As soon as we solidify our building, we're going to make the big announcement.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And they can support our merchandise right now. They can support our hoodies, our shorts, our Valentine's cards, so many things they can support now. You don't have to wait for the museum to open, especially if you love twerk. Go ahead and get a hoodie and help us start to continue to spread the word about it.
Okay, KK. So I'm going to purchase a hoodie just because.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm definitely going to get a hoodie. My daughter is going to be, I might have to get her one too. Yeah. But just go and get her one too. So you have the merchandise, the hoodies, the Valentines,
and we have the Twerk Kingo game. So our Twerk Kingo game, we play in Atlanta every Friday at 8 p.m. and we play online every Saturday at 7 p.m. All Eastern times. And then also we have the Twerk Kingo digital game. It's available now. You can go to our website, thetwerkmuseum.com, and get the digital game. play it with you surprises. And the digital game is a little bit different from the board game, in that the digital game, we have step-by-step instructions. So if you're a person who like needs a little bit more explanation like me, then you definitely want to get the digital game. The board game is going to be more so like, you know, if you're with your family or friends, it's not necessarily going to be like a class type situation. It's going to be a quick explanation of the move, and that's it. You got to get it. And, you know,
Kiki,
Also,
Kiki.
I want to jump in really quickly. Business director, we do have a time to keep. We have another interviewer waiting for us. It's kind of past our time, so we do need to wrap, ladies. Yes, I know.
Kiki,
We wish we could talk to
can
you
you
forever,
please show us the
Tawana.
card? Can you please
Yes,
show us the card,
we wish
Kiki?
we could talk forever, Tawana, but we do have to jump to another interview. This is what
There, you see,
I
there's
see.
a game. We already have the prototypes for our physical game, so that's what's rolling out too. For those who aren't as digital, they can actually buy the game. It has the moves on one side, and then it has a QR code on the other side for you to scan it to learn your moves.
mhm.
Okay. I
yes,
love it. It looks like a bingo card. I'm going to let you go. So thank you,
yes.
ladies.
Thank you
Twerk
so much.
Museum is an immersive, interactive experience merging dance, history, and culture, coming to Atlanta in 2024. At the Twerk Museum, we trace the origins of twerking back to Africa, show how the art form evolved throughout the African diaspora, and teach both the historical and modern dances. That's when you're supposed to feel when you do the wiggle. If you don't feel that, your wiggle's not wiggling. Historical exhibits from Africa, the Caribbean, South America, and America are featured, and the dances unique to each region are explored. Like any good selfie museum, we have installations perfect for content creation. Only ours are centered on dance and the cultures that birthed them. During Black History Month, we celebrate the various twerk styles found throughout the African diaspora. We teach dance moves popular in Africa, the Caribbean, South America, and America, as well as the history behind the moves. If you like game nights, dancing, or both, you're gonna love our Twerkingo game. First, learn the twerk moves from your Twerkingo game card with step-by-step instructions from your certified twerk technician's teacher.
Poke your chest and booty out, and then cave your chest and booty in. Be sure not to throw your whole neck, shoulders, and back into it. It's a very small, precise movement.
Next, play the Twerkingo game. See how many twerk moves you can do. There are 4 different ways you can Twerkingo, and we have prizes for them all. Play in person, online, or order the Twerkingo game cards to play at home with friends. By the way, Twerkingo is more than just a game. Twerking is a great way to burn calories, get a natural butt lift, and channel feminine energy.